Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Singularity podcast with our host, Gary Lyon Otto. And we're in season 3, and we continue to go through these series of questions. Such phenomenal questions that Gary's been able to come up with that are part of his book, Singularity, Mankind's Search for Relevance. And today's question is, we have seen the advances under digital intelligence. What future developments are likely for quantum computing and even analog computers?
Interesting. We see things advancing so fast, so intimidating. And we say, well, right now, where are they going? Right now, there's major efforts by a number of companies that are trying to create quantum computers. Now, quantum computers deals in that fuzzy land. It's either this or that. And they're able to work in where quantum mechanics is basically founded or sourced. And it could be this or it could be that. It's an extraordinarily rapid and highly powerful process. Now, right now, it's at very rudimentary, stages, but it's going to advance very quickly eventually. And matter of fact, there's even talks that things like Bitcoin could be broken by a quantum computer, even though the coding is way beyond current computing capabilities. But quantum computers have such great capabilities that can handle that. Now, I find that fascinating and very, very powerful. So there's a leap forward when we get into quantum computers. So we're talking about accelerating what's already almost blinding speed of the development of digital intelligence. But the real icing on the cake, I'm not sure it's a great analogy, but the thing is, the real concept that's going to take things to a new level is, I say, analog computers. And this is something I've been thinking about. Now, an analog computer is basically the brain works like an analog system. We older people can remember television before they became digital, and record players were analog. A record is an analog system, and basically analog are waveforms that interfere with each other and create information. And you have crossing waveforms, and you get these almost three-dimensional, almost a holographic, and it's very much like a hologram idea. Our brain works like a hologram. We are able to, with our minuscule brain that we have, are able to do incredible stuff with our brain, and much more efficiently than the digital computers that we're starting to compete with. Digital computers, we're talking about building these data centers that going to have massive input of energy, just huge amount of energy, a huge memory structures and everything else to create the kind of world we have in the future. But when we talk about the mind, take Elon Musk as an example, what he's able to accomplish with his mind and come up with, actually what I've been able to accomplish with the theory of everything. Where in the world does that come from? Well, if you look at a brain operates maybe 10, 12 volt or amps of power. And if that's all the power our brain has, but we have to create massive power systems, nuclear power systems to power these data centers. But our brain can do this with a minuscule amount of power, and we do it through neurons that commute the signals at 90 to 120 meters per second, which is, compare that to the movement of computers. The information is transferred at 90% of the speed of light, which is 270,000 kilometers per second. And so they're able to achieve wonderful things, but it takes an incredible amount of power, an incredible amount of resources to do that. So the thing is, analog systems are really, really powerful. I have a concept where let's say you're sitting in a stadium and you're watching a football game, and you can see people across from the stadium. You can see probably 20, 30,000 people sitting across from you. You take it all in. Now you don't focus on every one of those persons, but you see them as part of it's almost a holographic experience. But then you see the game going on. You hear the sounds of the game. You have your emotions that are transferred. You have you get hungry, you want to eat whatever you eat, nachos or whatever you're going to eat there. And all that's going on with your brain is able to do all that and absorb all of that at once. Can you imagine if you digitized every aspect of that? I mean, every aspect of, everything's pixels, everything's individual experiences are all digitized. It's a massive undertaking. For us, it's just a day, just a game. And so the thing is, our brain is incredibly capable. But now, if you can take computers and now duplicate the analog process and couple it with the digital process when you want to nail down absolutes, because digital is absolutes, either 0 or 1. When you take the two, combine them, we're talking about something that blows away the current technology. And I think that's where we go. I think that's where it's going to eventually happen. Now, the thing is that this might be getting to the idea we talked about in our conversations, a symbiotic understanding. We know Neuralinks linking to humans, and through Elon Musk's system. Some of it's just for helping people move and take care of people that are compromised physically. But the thing is, if we can get computers can think on an analog basis, the connection between computers and humans might be a lot easier because they're working on the same platform. Analog to analog, probably. I'm really just speculating. Probably be much easier to tie together than with digital to analog, which is what the brain, the neural is. So I don't know, which has less.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah. And so how do you digitize things? This is going deep. This is the science that Gary brings to the table. But the impressive thing is digital intelligence is going to be able to help make this go faster, isn't it?
It really is. It's just phenomenal how fast it's coming. But
I mean, the ability it can do in certain things, and for people to always doubt it. No, don't doubt it. Yes, fact check it, but don't doubt it because it moves at a much faster rate. For example, shipping a website now, Gary. There's a website out there. You can build a website, ship it, and have already a mock-up in 2 seconds or like 30 and 1 minute. And that mock-up is literally on the website, ready to roll. And if you had the copy in, your website's live. It used to take 6 months to a year to build a website. You could build a website in literally seconds. What is that telling you?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the thing is, one of these things is you say, well, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, that's what we really want to convey here with these discussions. If you can't, we're not going to be able to beat it. We shouldn't even want to beat it. We want to actually join this whole new age that's happening. Find a way to find some compatibility with it. Find our niche in this whole system, and say, this is interesting. How do I fold into this new world that we're coming to?
This new world's it's a definite whole new world.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And so define the difference between, and this is for our listeners, analog and digital. And what are you meaning by this? So that's the interesting thing.
Well, analog really is digital is all it's exact. It's either, it's called binomial numbers, really. It's either a 0 or a 1.
Right.
So there's an absolute designation. It can't be both. So, well, I guess quantum computing, it can be both, but let's not do that at this point. So it's either a 0 or 1. So it's absolute information. And the thing is, it takes the compilation and putting it all together in that way versus analog. It's waveforms that interact together. You ever see a hologram projected into space? You need some kind of a medium to project it onto, like humidity or fog or something like that, is a way you can project into a 3D thing. Well, that's kind of what analog is. Analog is all those interacting waveforms cross each other and give you form. Well, we have ideas and concepts have form, that and memory and experiences have form, and so analog is able that looking across the stadium at that crowd has form. And so the thing is, analog really is a compilation of interacting waveforms, and you get whole experiences and whole images, that not just little pieces of it, which is what happens when everything's digital.
No. I'm interested. This is where quantum computing. Do I need to study that while AI can do it for me? That's the difference. We're at this point, like I don't know how I'm able to do the things I can do, Gary. But I can do them. That's where digital intelligence becomes that great partner.
The thing is, how do we instill on our readers here? Well, first of all, they're probably curious just to read the book. But the
Mhm.
thing is, how do we instill that curiosity? You can't. People either have it or they don't. They either want to know or they want to hide from it. But in the end, you are hiding from it if you don't recognize this is a new world we all live in.
And for another discussion another time, the best models of digital intelligence are being held up by the government right now.
Yeah.
So Fable 5 and the latest ChatGPT version, which is very frustrating. I understand it's cybersecurity. This is where why there should be more oversight and what the model can do in guidelines. And that's maybe we're moving too fast. And then now it's programming itself to create itself and create things better. So we're seeing Terminator already happening in Singularity in so many ways that they're not allowing certain models to be out in the public.
Well, the thing is, they exist somewhere, and they're going to continue developing them. I understand Anthropic has always been had those issues, and I guess all of them are going to have that issue.
Now ChatGPT, the same thing happened to them. It just happened this week.
I did miss that, but
Yeah, yeah. And theirs is supposed to be smarter than Fable 5. I'm like, come on. See, it's just they leapfrog each other, Gary. You give up on one, and now I'm hearing Elon's coming up with something so unbelievable because of SpaceX. So you just don't know what's going to happen next. That's why you got to tune into this podcast.
the point is how much gets released. Well, China's going to do it anyway, so it's not like that. The whole issue.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
We
Well,
worry
China
about
will go do it for, they'll go after us, right?
We didn't worry about Russia. We worry about China. Well, so the thing is, we're going to do the development. Question is, how much do they release? I think, regardless, they have to do the development. And we have to, because the only way to protect us from cyber attacks is a higher level of AI, because AI itself is your protection.
Yeah.
You have to, you develop a whole system that can protect us at the same time that is an overlay.
So what's your prediction? Do you think that soon President Trump will release one of the two, ChatGPT's new version or Fable?
I love the guy, but I can't predict what he's going to do.
Exactly.
I think that he recognizes he has an ability to assess a lot of things at once. I don't think that he's going to he's going to make sure we're in the forefront of this whole process.
Exactly. Okay. So go to GaryLyonAuto.net, purchase Singularity, Mankind's Search for Relevance, and make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, man.
That was a special simulcast, Neil Hay Show on the Singularity podcast, guys. Take care.